Nope. Can't make that happen. Okay. There. And hello, welcome to Can Angels Fly. I'm Nancy, and today I'm here to do a rant on the subject matter you see above my head, which is the danger of social polarity. And I will define what I mean by the title, social polarity. Soon as I can figure out how to get my laptop to work the way I would like it to work. I do so much, I mess up. Let's see. I'll try to do it like that. Hi, Pam. Happy New Year's to you. We made it. We can say we made it. If I can move this thing over, it will help. I just don't know how to make it smaller. Well, I'm going to wait for a minute to see if anybody else comes in. For some reason, I can't pull audience during live for some reason. It seems very difficult for me to do so. With over 7,000 subscribers, it's very difficult for me to have the house full or attended during the live stream. And so I just don't want to jump off and start speaking, and there's really not many people to speak to. But welcome in. Thank you for dropping by. Today, I'm covering the subject matter, and it's the danger of social polarity, as mentioned. In order not to just have this part of the video silent, I guess I can enter my shameless plug here, just to fill up time. Of course, my name is Nancy, and I am a tarot reader here on YouTube. I'm also an amateur astrologer. And I have other interests, such as history and I'm interested in other metaphysical fields as well. I offer personal tarot readings. And if you're ever interested in ordering your own personal tarot reading with me, Nancy, all you have to do is contact me at my email. My email is canangelsfly1@gmail.com. And ordering your personal tarot reading is easy. After you contact me and let me know that you're interested, the process moves quickly. What else can I talk about to fill up this time frame of waiting for guests to arrive, hopefully, so that I can rant? I don't know. What can I talk about? Well, I can wish you all a happy new year. We're here now. If you watch this video or live stream, you made it. Congratulations. And I send to you many blessings, prosperity blessings, healing blessings. If you want an increased social life, more enhanced social life, I send you blessings for that as well. So I don't have much to talk about as far as an opening. So I'm going to just start going into this live stream. I anticipate it's going to be short. But it is about, well, I'm actually creating this live stream suddenly. Spontaneity. That must going to be a theme in this year. Because of a comment I received from a viewer while I was creating January 2019's taroscopes for the various zodiac signs. And the comment that I got was from, I don't believe they're a subscribed viewer, but they found one of my alternate, I'll say, video, I guess they call it blogs or something like that, where I was talking about the projected cutting of food stamps or welfare programs to those that are in need. Now, the name of that video, I think, was the cutting of food stamps or SNAP or whatever the case may be. And it just seems like whenever I currently create a video and I upload it, I don't get a lot of views, but what it seems to do is spark past or previous videos to be viewed by others. And because that one was, I still got it up here. When was this? I created is called The Cutting of Food Stamps. It was a rant, and it was done back in February of 2018. And every time I make a video, someone ends up watching one of my more, I guess, successful videos. That particular video got about 2,300 views. And there's also another video that I made some time ago. I don't even remember the name of it. The name of it was Can You Sell Your Soul to the Devil? That's another video, and I got about the same amount of views as about 2,300 views on that one. And whenever I make a video, monthly, or whenever I make it, it always leads to people being able to find those more successful videos to watch. Not the ones I'm making, but the previous ones. And the reason why I'm telling you this, because it has to do with why I'm making this particular video, this rant, and why I've chosen to go live stream. So I'm referring back to my previous videos, the one of Cutting the Food Stamps rant, as well as Can You Sell Your Soul to the Devil? Again, this is like highly charged subject matters that viewers, for some reason, choose to want to rebuttal me or try to debunk what I have to say. And if they don't have the intellectual capacity to debunk what I have to say, then they attempt to personally attack me. In both videos, I've had people talk about how, number one, the one where I address Can You Sell Your Soul to the Devil? Viewers suggest that you can't sell your soul to the devil, that I'm a liar, and all these kind of different attacks, which are insane. But okay, everybody has their right. Hello, Happy New Year's to you. To their opinion and can speak from their perspective. And so I do accept and appreciate them taking the time to, respond, to share, to comment. That's cool. However, it's disturbing to me when a person comments or rebuttals and wants to diminish the legitimacy of what I have to say, as if I don't move in integrity, as if they know me personally or something like that, and they can vouch that I am not telling the truth, which is not possible for them. So, how can I say this? That's a pet peeve of mine. How can you tell somebody else their life or their experiences? Now, recently, while I was making January 2019's general teroscope readings for the various zodiac signs, it happened again. And it was directly related to the old video I made called The Cutting of Food Stamps, and that was a rant. And a person, again, didn't have the intellectual capacity to debunk what I said, and basically just wanted to say that I was speaking nonsense, and that obviously I'm a recipient of the food stamp program, a welfare program, and that's why I'm fat, and this and this and that. And so it was an attack. And the reason why I bring that up is because, again, when I share my truth, it is my truth. And it just seems like people are, it's like the state of being inconsiderate of another's, again, life experiences and wanting to undermine what they experience or what they know. And it's just this sense of trying to belittle someone, which is interesting to me. And I was going to say something about it, but I can't remember. So again, I do appreciate them for making the comment because it's led me to do this live stream. Now, at this time, I'm just irritated that, again, I can't pull an audience here on this live stream with 7,000 subscribers. That's ridiculous. Oh, but that is a whole nother video. So I'm going to just try to go ahead and move forward since I selected to do this rant. As you can see above me, as mentioned prior, the title of this video is The Danger of Social Polarity. And so I said I would define what do I mean by social polarity. The social polarity, I chose those terms because of the experiences I've been having with people that comment on some of my videos and how crude, rude, and uneducated, unknowledgeable they are, and how on the defense they are. They are, again, antagonists, but I don't fall into that. But I wanted to respond because it is the social polarity that exists. And so I want to talk about it. It's a subject matter I've been wanting to talk about for a while. And so I'm going to start with this quote from the Bible. And hi, how are you? Happy New Year's. Is that in the Bible, in some verse, I don't know which one, and I'm not quoting this verse to try to convert anybody. I'm just sharing and showing how things begin to make sense in the course of our lives. This quote, scripture from the Bible that I'm about to quote makes sense to me. And it says that my people will die for a lack of knowledge. My people will die for a lack of knowledge. Now, I want to recite that or requote that quote and say, hey, my people, what people? The people in the matrix, humanity. There is a portion of humanity that will die due to the result of having a lack of knowledge. Knowledge about what? About this realm, about this thing we're in called life, about this plane that we live in that we call Earth. My people, the people of the matrix, humanity, a portion of them will die because they don't understand where they are or what they are dealing with. Continuing on, requoting or restating that quote, or they will die for a lack of awareness about what? About the realm and what they are dealing with and what is taking place. Remember that this live stream, this rant is about social polarity, the dangers of it. And keeping in mind that quote that many people will literally die due to not being aware or lacking knowledge leads me to this other concern that or issue that keeps announcing itself to me as I engage people here on YouTube is that there seems to be some form of confusion that exists about who's really running this realm or calling the shots out, And when I'm talking about calling the shots out, I'm talking about surrounding our existence, surrounding the existence of humanity in this plane. Who's in control? Who's calling the shots out? Hi, Terry. How are you? Happy New Year's. I don't know what's going on with this here live stream, but I'm got people speaking, but it's not showing nobody in the room. I don't know which one it could be. You coming and going is going as quickly as y'all come or what? I don't know. But if you're here, Happy New Year's. If you're viewing later, Happy New Year's. This is a rant. And so I'll make it make sense as I move forward. Now, I didn't have time to really prep this. I prepped all this within 30 minutes just to be able to do this live stream. So I'm moving forward, talking about the dangers of social polarity. Thus far, I've shared some of the comments I received from viewers about videos that I've made, alternate videos that I made covering various social issues and topics or alternative spiritual issues and topics, such as can you say your soul to the devil, and how some viewers want to undermine my life experiences if they're not relevant or if I am not truthful. And if they don't have the intellectual capacity, they move to attack me, speaking about my my presentation or my stature. So that's so childish. But anyway, I move on because I was just saying that there seems to be unknowing, like this lack of awareness to who is in control of this RAM or how this RAM works. Now, what I should have done but I didn't do. Hi, thank you for dropping by. I want to put something up. If y'all could just be patient, this is just a rant. I'm gonna take my time, pace myself. Um, I want to put something up on the screen, and it will take as long as oh, I found something that I was looking for. I prefer another shot. So if you're sticking around, I just ask you to take time to get you a little, something cool to drink, some water, or something warm to drink, some coffee, tea, and let's talk. Let's talk. I'm going to, where would I find? I think I was putting stuff here too. I'm searching to put some on. I found it. Found it. Oh, and it's set right up there, really, really nice. I think y'all can see it. I'm gonna move it over just a little bit right there. That's great. Okay, now I have that. So now I gotta figure out how to get back because my computer, y'all know, is messing up, and so I don't know how to do what I used to could do. So I just took that moment to retrieve that particular image, the box that you see. And that box right there is what they called like Saturn, or I can't remember what they call it. But it has to do with Saturn. And Saturn talks about this realm, this matrix, that box there is actually a structure, a structure or a monument that is erected in worship of Saturn. And that cube, it's a cube that you see, is a representation of what we call or label the matrix. The matrix. Oh, come on. Oh, my stuff clicking. Okay. It's the matrix. I'm trying to pace myself, y'all, because I don't want to get overwhelmed. I just want to talk. I just want to visit. I want to hang out with y'all. And I want to share something that's been on my mind for the last year or so. Hi, how are you? You know what? Right now, I'm not reading any tarot cards. I am talking about the danger of social polarity. And I'm defining what I mean by social polarity. And then I'm explaining why it's dangerous. If you're still around at the end of this discussion, then sure, I'll answer your question. Or you can kind of try to catch me another time. Either way, Happy New Year's to you, and thank you for dropping by. So I'm moving forward because I just put up this cube that is representational of the Matrix. Think of the movie The Matrix. What do they mean by the Matrix? Well, here's an example of the movie The Matrix. Here's an example of Saturn's realm, or this physical, or this realm that we live in. And I say realm because our realm consists of our air and our space and our galaxy. These are things that we are directly interacting with. These are our galaxy, and the planets that create our galaxy are like gods, and they govern us, and they have certain energies. And so all of that fits into that box. That's what creates the matrix. I personally, on my journey, I'm all over the place, y'all, because this is a Aquarius rant. I mean, just a rant. I'm an Aquarius rant. I am an Aquarius. But I, on my personal journey, this is a TMI, am attempting to explore outside of the box, because that which is outside of the box is truly what is occultic or metaphysical. This outside the box is not something that we can that we know. It's not something that we know or that we can easily research and find out the answers to. But anything that creates the sides or the boundaries of that box that you see in the image, you can know the rules to. You can find the rules to. I'm trying to explain something, so I got to fully explain this box. I need you to understand this box. Now, as I mentioned, personally, on the level I am seeking to inquire about, to understand, and to come into communion with that which dwells outside of the box, outside of our matrix. So right now, we're going to deal with just the box. And I just want to make sure it's clear about what I mean about this box, this matrix, starting with our outermost galaxy. Last thing I've known of is that Pluto is the furthest planet. I know it's something else out there. I can't think of it. But the furthest planet, I use Pluto because that's something that the majority of us know. Pluto is the outer limits of our galaxy that we are aware of, that we can see, they say, with the telescope and things like that. And so Pluto is one of those outside surfaces of that box. And then we have our other planets and Mars, Venus, Neptune. I talked about Pluto, Uranus. Earth is in that box, as well as our atmosphere and every star that we can see with our naked eyes and as well with telescopes. What else? The birds, the trees that are on our planet, because we're just one little dot within that box. Happy New Year's, Emily. I'm talking about the social dangers of social polarity, and I'm building to it. Right now, I'm focusing on the cube that you see, or the box that you see on the screen. Hopefully, you can see it. If y'all can't see it, and I'm just talking, and this is just a blank spot, let me know. This box, I'm talking about the matrix that we live in. I was just sharing that anything outside of the box, humanity doesn't know anything about. But anything within the boundaries, meaning the size that create that cube, our cube, in reality, we can know about. Hi, Yoni. Hey, Nancy. Let the problem solving begin. Problem solving is sexy 2019. Yes, it is. You can't see it. Thank you, Emily. And so, do y'all understand when I try to explain this box? Because I know not all the time am I able to successfully articulate myself. I'm attempting to grow and learn and mature and do those kind of things. But I think you get it, that we live in a box within our realm, within this universe and on this planet there. Just imagine Earth as a little dot within that box that you see on the screen. And you are an even smaller pixel on that dot within that box or that cube. That is the matrix. And that matrix, that box, is something that has rules. It's rules. And the rules are what gives it its structure and its existence. The rules that define that structure allows it to exist and to be a structure. And we're in it. And I'm bringing all that up because, remember, going back to that Bible verse, it says, my people. What people? The people in humanity. Many of them will die for a lack of knowledge. That is to say that the people don't have the knowledge about our box, or they're not aware about our box, which is our matrix that we live in. And take a cup of coffee. Take a cup of coffee. Take a sip of coffee. And I'm being good, y'all. No sugar. Well, you need to stay down there with it. What are you trying to do other than focus on what you got at hand? Oh, no. We don't do that. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So, still talking about the box, I guess I can focus on some of the knowledge that we have about the box that we live in, the matrix. We know that the outermost shell or the shape or the silhouette of this box is most likely composed by our galaxy, the 9 planets and all the stars and everything that's taking place there. We learn through astrology, especially Vedic astrology, as well as some old books of the Apocryphon, that those 9 planets at least are like gods. They're gods, and they govern this realm. They are the cranks that turn this matrix. Or y'all know what a Rubik's cube is? It turns the shafts of the Rubik's cube. I wish I had a Rubik's cube save. A Rubik's cube. That's what the planets do. That's what your birth chart is. You're in the mix of this cube and it's turning, and you are in relationship to it. Therefore, it creates your reality, your existence, your appearance, da 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 da. These are the rules and the laws to our matrix that we live in. So who is the creator of our box or our matrix? That's something we don't know. Now, historically, philosophers and theorists figured that there was a divine God. And then we came up with what? How many? Over 2,000 religions, right? Or something like that. That said, oh, well, there's a God, and this God name is Yahweh, or this God name is Jehovah, or this Christ's name is Jesus, or da 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 da, who is the ruler or the creator of our cube, of our matrix. But in reality, I don't think we know. Now, I'll say this. I think there are some beings that exist in this physical world that do know, but the large majority of humanity does not know. So I'll go ahead and move forward. Still talking about our matrix, our cube that we live in. And so we really don't know who the creator is, but we know because it exists, there is some entity. We call it divine usually, because it's far more intelligent and sophisticated than ourselves, that created this cube and this experience that we live in. We know in order to get into this cube, you have to put on a particular suit. Either you're going to put on the suit of a star, or you're going to put the suit on of a planet and take on those attributes, or you're going to put the suit on of a physical body and be born here on this particular planet. And so what am I talking about this for? Because we need to be able to learn how to identify, the rules to this plane. We need to gain knowledge about this plane. We need to become aware about this plane or this cube that we live in, that we exist in. Why? Going back to the biblical scripture, it said, my people will die for lack of knowledge. In order for us not to die, to perish in vain, we can become knowledgeable. Anyway, so I just want to break down some of the laws because I'm trying to go somewhere with this. Again, this is a rant. I don't have any order. I put this together in 30 minutes, but it's something I've been wanting to talk about. And since today someone else came onto one of my videos and wanted to assault me, and they showed their level of intellect, I thought this would be the perfect time. So here I am. So I'm slow rolling, drinking my sugarless coffee, being on my best behavior in this new year of 2019, because we made it. So let's learn something. So talking about this, being inside of this matrix, in a particular space inside this matrix, this cube you see before you, we reside on this little dot we call Earth. And we are merely small dots on that dot. We're small pixels on that dot. And so I guess I'm gonna pose this. Remember, I was like, there seems to be some confusion about who's running this cube. Is it man or is it that divine being that created the cube? And so I'm here to share that this cube that we live in is governed or is pre-programmed, is programmed to run by a set of rules. Those set of rules were orchestrated by the original creator, we're going to call divinity, whoever that may be, for whatever reason. Okay. Then there are humans. As I mentioned, some humans seem to be more prone to have knowledge and awareness about what's taking place or where they are. Who are these humans? I usually point them out as the elitists, the upper class, that a part of what they inherit in their life immediately is the logged, the discovered and logged rules and regulations of this realm. That's what they get off rip. Where it takes us a whole life to figure it out, that's what they're granted. That's a part of the legacy that's handed down to them. They already know what's up. As soon as they can read and write and have a level of understanding, that's what they learn. So they are aware of how this cube that we live in works. And because they have that awareness, they are able to manipulate anything within the cube within their reach, including other people and humanity. So who runs this cube? As mentioned, divinity created the cube, put all the programming into place, all the rules, regulations, policies, et cetera, et cetera. And they run on autopilot, we'll say. They run automatically. Either you learn them and you let it govern your life and you live as one with the universe. We label it as living one with the universe, being in sync, being humble to divine law. Or here's the issue that we're dealing with that we're missing, that I do believe that a lot of the people that are making these negative comments on those particular videos I talked about that I created that are socially charged are missing is that, again, some men and women are born here with what? Like the silver spoon in their mouth. And they already know about these divine laws and regulations. And what they do is what they have done is hijacked. Check it out. They've hijacked this cube that we live in. Understand this, that those elitists that I speak of, those other humans that just have the upper hand born with the silver spoon in their mouths, they live by divine law. They live in sync with natural law. They know it and they know it well. And they wouldn't dare step out of natural law. That's what is allowing them or permitting them to have their level of wealth and success in this realm. With that power, they have learned over time how to use divine law and to rewrite it or tweak it and then introduce it to the rest of humanity. Just the other day, yesterday, I do believe I went live. Yeah, it was yesterday, New Year's Eve. And I can't remember who it was. They made a comment about, like, what's wrong with this realm? Are we missing portals? Why aren't we able to see? And this is what's keeping the majority of humanity from seeing, is that the laws that we are permitting to govern us are not God's laws. They are not the laws of nature, but they are the laws that have been given to us by other men. Those men and women I call the elitists. They took those natural laws, they used them to their benefit. If necessary, they tweaked them, and then they presented them to the rest of humanity, giving them control. In this live stream, I'm attempting to move forward and talk about the dangers of social polarity. So let me try to begin to define what I mean by social polarity. When I use the term social, I'm talking about people who, me, you, and every individual in humanity, whether we're grouped up two by two or culture by culture or nation by nation. That's what I mean by social. Social, when I speak of social, I'm talking about men, women, children, old people. It don't matter. Fat people, skinny people, don't matter. Social. Are still under the authority of divine law. However, we don't know divine law. We know some type of distorted presentation or a facet of divine law that we allow to govern us and that we execute. Therefore, we have become, if that was you, okay, Yoni, you said, now I got to read Yoni because it was yesterday with Yoni. It said, me, portals available at end of year, but the matrix offers us sugar and liquor in abundance to make sure we miss the message, and laws are passed for new year while we are stuffed and drunk. Yeah. And so we're talking about how men and women in power manipulate this realm or this matrix or this cube as we're preoccupied with the illusions. I guess that's where I can start. It's all the way over here. So moving forward, still talking about this polarity. Okay, I just talked about social, what I mean by social. Now I'm going to talk about the term polarity and what I mean by that. We know that poles, like North and South Pole, they're opposite from each other. Polarity, opposites. Opposites do not have the same attributes or characteristics. One side has its own unique set of characteristics or traits, as does its opposite side. And you've heard like a magnet, opposites attract, law of attraction, opposites attract. Why? Because see, now I need other signs, and I don't want to go with, I'm just going to take my time because I'm just ranting. The dual sign, dualism sign, the circle with the swirl in the middle that's I put my dress on, polarity. Black and white on one side, predominantly black on one side and small amount of white. Other sides, predominantly white with a small black dot. That is a symbol of dualism as well as polarity. Actually, that sign of dualism is symbolic of all the natural laws, we can say. I have a video about that somewhere if you're ever interested in diving deep on that. And so polarity, we talking about opposites that attract. And why do they attract? Because one side needs something that the other side has, and vice versa. And so they pull together to have that exchange. But I think we'll come back to that later as far as talking about social exchange. Anyway, so social polarity, the danger. What is the danger? Initially, I can say that there is a truth. What is the truth? I have suggested in this live stream that the truth is that we have a creator, and the creator set forth some basic rules and put it into motion that runs automatically. And that really creates this reality. That's what allows this matrix or this cube that we reside in to exist. Versus, this is the polarity, this is the other side, is the lies. Who creates or has created the lies? It is those elitists, those people born with a silver spoon in their mouths, those people that had the upper hand and were granted awareness as a part of their lineage from the moment they came out, from the moment they could understand and comprehend. Those people created the lies. And the lies also dwell within this cube and this matrix. And they overshadow. I can't even say they overshadow. It's something like overshadowing. It's like this glaze that lays over the natural laws. And what am I talking about here? The lies that man creates, the illusions that they create in this matrix. We are born into this matrix at this point in time in the history, and it's been going on for some centuries, that because we're born into the illusion, we can't identify the illusion. And what do I mean by that? I want to refer back to the video I made, and it was called The Cutting of Food Stamps. That's what I started speaking about when I started this rant. As well as I made another one. It was talk about control the food, control the masses. These were videos that got quite a few views. It was socially, what do you call it, charged or something like that. And I bring those videos up because the comments that people were making to me were insane. It showed a lack of awareness. The scripture says, my people will die for a lack of knowledge. So, what were these people that made these insane comments or odd comments? What couldn't they see? Again, both those videos were about food and substance and how we as humans born into this physical realm and taking on these physical bodies have prerequisites to live. If you want to live, you got to eat. If you want to live, you got to breathe. If you want to live, you got to drink some water. If you want to live, you're going to have to defecate at some point in time. That is the rule, some of the rules to this realm, directly related to being in a physical vessel. You can't argue that. So, another thing that is obvious, at least based on my point of reference, is that this realm that we're born in, this planet that we call planet, that I reside on, that we reside on, is a self-contained ecosystem. I've talked about this. Earth, is just like a planetarium, I think they call it, where we have the clouds and they supposedly absorb the rain and bring it back down on the trees. We got the carbon monoxide that the trees absorb and then they put out fresh oxygen for us to take in. It's a self-contained ecosystem. This self-contained ecosystem supplies all of our needs, all of our prerequisites to live in this realm and to survive so we can do whatever we need to do while we're here. Whether it's repent or whatever, if we in a prison, whatever the case is, it makes sure we got what we need to survive. So what were these people that made these crazy comments missing? Is that this is a self-contained ecosystem that provides for the prerequisites of human existence. And those prerequisites, all of the trees and the vegetation and the various foods and the creatures and the beings and everything that exists naturally, obviously was put here by the creator of this matrix, of this cube that you see before you, using as an example. What they were allowing to govern their thoughts when they made those insane comments were lies and illusions. What lies and illusions were they under? Well, they shared in their comments by saying, hey, you were stealing from someone's garden. But while in the woods, how am I stealing from someone's garden? That kind of thing. Or whatever. I'm trying to think of another comment someone made. Didn't make any sense. And so I'm going to try to summarize it. What they were saying is that food is not a natural reoccurring substance in this ecosystem, and that people are stealing food. They're stealing substance, that they are stealing those requisites necessary to sustain the human life, such as water or air. It didn't make sense to me that they couldn't think past their toes, but yet would make such harsh and critical comments or statements about those that may be affected by the cutting of the food stamp program, and it goes deeper. I do invite you to watch that video if you haven't already. I made it back in February. And so what am I talking about? Social polarity. One side, we have this truth that divinity has provided all that we need to sustain us in this realm. And some people are aware of that. And it really doesn't matter. I mean, yes, it does. How can I say this? That's the fact. That's the fact. But the lie is that man has again seized control or hijacked this realm and has seized control of seeds, the food supply, these kind of things, creating the illusion that you got to go through him to get the requisites that you need to sustain your life. This is leading to a dangerous social polarity. Those that cannot see the truth. The truth is that everything has been provided for us. And man is merely a hijacker, hybrid of this realm or this matrix. I move on. Um, I just kind of want to go in now. This is a rant again. There's no order. I prepared this in 30 minutes just to talk about it. Um, what is taking place relative to this cube that you see, which is representational of our physical realm or our matrix that we dwell in, is that man's will is, in this point in time in the history of humanity, Happy New Year, trumping God's law or natural law. So, what are some of man's will? Well, remember, man has taken the natural laws and tweaked them and then presented them to the rest of humanity in order to control humanity. So some of man's wills are represented through laws, through policies, ordinances, rules, regulations, and various terms and conditions. It depends on what you're dealing with and which field of study you're dealing with at any given time. But no matter what man writes up or create, if you really study that rule, law, regulation, policy, ordinance, it goes back to a basic, hi Moonlight, a basic natural law that God put into place. Oh, hi, Moonlight. I see. You say, will I have a baby? Is there a pregnancy soon? Well, in this live stream, I'm not answering any burning questions, at least not yet. I may at the end of this live stream. This live stream is about the danger of social polarity. And you're welcome to stay and watch and to, talk and comment at the end of this live stream. If you're still around, then it's possible that I can answer your burning question. But for now, I'm moving forward and I'm talking about the dangers of social polarities. And the real danger is that many of us aren't even aware. Remember, God said, or the creator or somebody said, my people, the people of humanity will die for lack of knowledge or awareness. And so many people aren't even aware that social polarities exist and just how dangerous they can be to our existence, our experience here in this physical world. So we've identified thus far that we exist within a particular matrix or a box or a RAM, however you like to define it. And basically, in short, the box or the cube is just a physical manifestation, a physical representation, so that you can understand that there are boundaries to man's abilities. We can only go so far. We can only see so far. And those are the surfaces that you see when looking at that cube. Everything that we can touch or deal with or see or interact with or that governs us is within the cube, minus divinity, of course. So moving forward, still talking about the social polarities and how they can be dangerous. Right now, I was just talking about the truth, which is divine truth, divine law, versus the lies or delusions that are created by men in power, and why we can't see that divinity, whoever divinity is, provided all that we need in order to sustain ourselves while in this physical vessel, while on this plane, while in this realm. But many people can't see that, and that's dangerous. And why is it dangerous? Because these people that have commented on my videos sound vicious. They sound very vicious. Am I afraid? The answer is no. But it's scary to think just how vicious a person can be when they have no awareness or no knowledge. They're fixed. It's dangerous. Saddening. Anyway, moving back over here. I want to talk about another social polarity that we are facing. I'm sure a lot of people haven't thought about. We've discussed it, but you weren't aware. You're aware of it, but you haven't thought in detail about it. And it is about our current decision to ascend or descend. And when a person talks about ascending or descending, we're talking about in consciousness. Going back to the scripture, it says, my people will die for a lack of knowledge. Knowledge is talking about what you're aware of, what you understand. And so ascending, becoming aware of what? This box, this cube that is before you. Remember, this cube that's on the screen is just a representation so that you can see that we're in there. That, again, the outer panels that create that cube are the extremity in which man can pierce, look, or is governed by. We're inside there. We're on a little dot in there. And we are a little pixel on that dot in there. Can you see it? And so now, either people will, on this little planet, ascend because they become aware of the outer limits. They got that program called Outer Limits of our cube and all that it consists of, and understand how it works and how we relate to it. Upon doing such things as that, we can ascend, and we can ascend successfully. Or we can descend. And what does it mean to descend? It suggests that you don't wake up, that you stay a sheeple, I think is the term that is people use, sheeple. You can stay asleep and you can follow the trends. You can follow the authoritative figures, those elitists, and the propaganda they present to you. You can do that. But if we, humanity, at least the majority of humanity, decides to stay in the mind frame of ignorance and not wake up, nor to see nor understand the realm that they are existing in, then anything is possible, including a descension down into hell. Think about it. Our little planet in that cube that you're looking at, just floating out there in space, that one little place, that one little realm can become hell. Why? How? Because the people don't want to wake up. They don't want to acknowledge what this matrix is and what it consists of. They don't want to identify the boundaries. They don't want to know what they're required to do in order to sustain themselves while in this place, how to relate to this place, or how they were created to relate to this place. You don't have to. We don't have to. We can descend. But understand, if we choose to stay asleep and not learn these things, we will die for lack of knowledge. But before we die of a lack of knowledge, this little dot we call Earth will descend down into a hell state. Whether that hell state is brought on by increased racism, hatred, war, nuclear attacks. Are you locked out?
No. You try to.
What is that?
I was gonna make a chicken.
What is it?
It's cheese.
Don't put all that on. I can't eat while I'm on a video. Give me one. Why I gotta try it? Why I gotta be the guinea pig?
All like this.
I don't want all that. Why I got to be the guinea pig? Go talk to Charity and let her do it. I'm sure it's good. Get out. You're messing with me.
Oh.
Bye.
Horrible person.
I know. Get out.
So mean.
Horrible. And take your animals with you. Feed your animals. Let them out for the night. Shut my door. Be quiet. I love you. Okay, I apologize. I'm a mom and I don't get much time to myself without being bombarded. But at least she was trying to feed me. Isn't that nice? Anyway, moving on, because I was just talking about, I'm a highlight, I was just talking about another social polarity that exists, and it is the either or, either the majority of us ascend, meaning we wake up and we work together, or we descend and go down. There's a split party. I know y'all heard this. Humanity is split. We are split. Hi, Farah. I want to smoke some crack. Somebody sell some. Well, each his own. I don't know why you came here. If you need AA, get AA or whatever you call it. If you don't want AA, then do your damn thing. Enjoy yourself. But I pray for your recovery if you want it. And so I'm moving forward. And now I'm talking about, and people will, okay, I've done that. Polarities. Other polarities that other polarities that exist, that we, social polarities that exist that we don't know exist, or we're not aware of, or we're not acknowledging, that can be detrimental to the status of humanity. Is that old time antagonist, protagonist, the antagonist versus the protagonist. That's how they write all these stories, especially like Shakespeare and them. It's always the antagonist and the protagonist. Me, just recently, what prompted me to make this video is that I had an antagonist come on and say the most horrific things about my video, trying to undermine my experience and what I know. How dare they? But okay, they were the antagonists. And then me, I'm the protagonist. I'm supposed to move and defend myself against them. Well, the way I feel about it, it wasn't much I had to say, because I said everything in those videos. I shared everything that I know personally. So once I know, since I know, I share what I know personally. Since I know I moved in integrity, there's nothing that they really can say. But what they did reveal to me is that it's, again, this social polarity. It's the split that exists in humanity. And I'm not just going to say that it has to do with race, It has to do with so many things. And we need to be aware of these things. Yes, it has to do with race. It's the black and white. Y'all know I'm always playing black and white, or any other color. I don't know, Chinese, Asian, I don't know, Korean, African. I don't know. It's so many doggone races here. Just opposition, opposing, not understanding another due to their skin of their color. Color of their skin. Then it's this antagonist, protagonist against the intellectuals and the not so smart, It's the antagonist, it's the protagonist. We have these people that are high tech folks that may be taking advantage of those that don't know anything about technology and things like that. So we got all of these splits that are existing that have the potential to lead to the detrimental state, a detrimental state here in this physical realm where we reside. I want to talk about some, synonyms, antonyms to the term polarity. I've already given the example of antagonist versus protagonist. Another, I think it's antonym, is to clash. Remember, we're talking about polarities, clashing, conflict, contradiction, a duel, like sword dueling, hostility, warfare, civil disobedience, and contrapositions. Now, these, I think I'm using the right word, antonyms are powerful, and they mean something, because if I'm saying there's a truth, there's a reality that we have a creator that set this realm into motion, and all we have to do is learn the rules, follow the rules. And one of the things that our creator put into motion is the law of polarity, right? So did our creator intentionally put this law into play, the law of polarity. Hi, Sophia. Happy New Year to you and all. In order for us, humanity, to continue to clash, to have conflict, contradiction, duel, to be dueling with each other, hostility. And I ask that because the reason why we are here in this RAM, in this cube, in this matrix is for a reason. We're not quite clear about why we're here. But it's possible, based on my research, that we're here to do some type of repentance. I don't know. We're going to figure it out. But I don't think so. Remember, it appears to me, based on what I've learned, that this realm was hijacked by the elitists, the people that were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. And the first thing they get handed down to them as a legacy is the knowledge that is directly associated with how this realm is run and what it's about. So they got that upper hand. They hijacked this realm. And so the law of polarity, remember, is still in play because divine put it in motion. It set it in motion on autopilot. Remember, those elitists, they always follow divine law. They always follow natural law. But what they did before letting it be known to the common Jane and Joe, those people working every day that didn't have time to research this realm and to learn, before they introduced it to us, they tweaked it. They made it their own and then presented it to us. So what am I saying relative to the law of polarity? The law of polarity, when it ends up manifesting as a clash or conflict or hostility or warfare or civil disobedience or counter positions, it is because polarity is manifesting from the rules that man gave us. He hijacked some stuff. He gave it to us. And I'll go back over here and I want to talk about divinity and how divinity created this realm, put every law, ordinance, principle, rules into motion, set it on autopilot. Now we flying up in there. All we had to do was learn the rules and abide by them and keep moving forward and repent or do whatever we came here to do. So let's talk about when God or the creator, divinity, created polarity, the law of polarity. Divine polarity is what I'm going to label this. Now, I've just dealt with regular old polarity that they hijacked, but I'm talking about divine polarity before they got their stinking hands on it. What is divine polarity? It is two opposing forces that do have, I'm going to just put this in, that do have the potential to come together, to clash, to have conflict, civil war, yes, but it's divine. It's divine. So divine polarity is when two opposite forces move and achieves balance, creating accord, agreement, harmony, love, peace. It is a treaty. And why is that important? Astrologically, last year, up until the current, the astrological energies have been talking about Taurus, and I don't even know what it is. Is it Uranus and Aries? No, Uranus and Taurus retrograding back into Aries. It has to do with Pluto and Capricorn and Saturn, I do believe, and another collage of astrological energies I didn't write down. This is just a rant. And are you doing readings today? No, I'm not. Maybe later after this live stream, I have to get through ranting because I got to get this off my heart. and so the reason why I bring this up again, we're in this self-contained ecosystem that you see represented in the cube on the screen. This is our realm. This is the cube again represents the outer boundaries of which man can influence or be influenced by, including our galaxy, the planets, all the stars, and all the space within. And then in that box that you see, as I keep saying, there's one little blue pearl, and we call it the Earth, floating in that box. And we are just one of the little fractals or pixels on that dot. In that box, in that cube, That cube has rules and regulations from the boundaries outside all the way into the core of Earth and every other planet. There are rules and regulations. We know that one of the rules that God put into place is polarity. We know that man has hijacked his laws and then distorted them, then fed them back to humanity, fed them to humanity. And as a result, we are now dealing with potential civil disobedience, warfare, a lot of hostility, and it comes in various forms. But that's due to man's law. We know that if we were, rocking with divinity in a line, that we're talking about this time period astrologically, a time of creating camaraderie and a treaty and peace. But what am I talking about? I'm talking about the polarities that exist. We have, let me try to define it clearer because I'm about to move forward and start talking about other polarities that we don't look at that are dangerous, that are causing leading to conflict in this physical world. And right now I'm talking about the foundation where it's coming from. Right now, the core of the issue is that we have a divine creator that set up all these laws, but there are some men that hijack them. At this current time in the history of humanity, the astrological energies foretell of this time period being one in which, on a social level, we are redefining our contract with each other, how we want this particular planet, this particular marble to be. Either we can ascend, we can wake up, and we can create heaven here on this marble, or we cannot wake up and we can be disenchanted and we can allow this ram, this marble, to descend down into a hell-like state. This is the time period that we rewrite this contract. There's a social polarity that exists. I'll say spiritual right now, spiritual polarity that exists. Because we have man's laws governing us, man's distorted laws of divine law. It's distorted, governing us. And it's leading us to what? War. We don't know, or we're not acknowledging that pure or absolute divine law exists. It has been in place since the creation of this realm. It has always been in play, but we don't know it. All we know is the hijacked version. But if we can get up under the power and authority or the rules and regulations of this creator of this realm, then this period that we're entering would be seasoned by, again, peace, love, and treaties being created amongst different races and cultures and nationalities and all these kind of things. There is a danger of social polarity. There's a danger in not knowing that these polarities exist and what's taking place. Let me move forward. I want to talk a little bit about, let me make this quote first. I want to make a quote first. And the quote is, the middle class might not be verbatim, but y'all gonna get it. The middle class is diminishing, and the poor get poorer, and the rich get richer. And why is that important? Well, there we have again another social polarity that is under construction. It's developing. At one time, the middle class was strong and it was growing. But the way I understand it, the middle class is doing what? It's diminishing, it's struggling. Some will be fortunate enough or knowledgeable enough to make it over onto the side that is plentiful. They will become richer. But then there are some middle class folks that luck or skill has ran its course and they won't make it over there and will become a part of the poor working class. The middle class diminishes and the poor get poorer and the rich get richer. Again, another social polarity. We can expect this polarity to continue to grow as we have entered into this new paradigm. I talked about the new paradigm. I know, Lemons, you're shaking your head. I wonder why. What is the true defining character traits of the new paradigm? What is that? What is that? We, humanity, are entering into a time period in which automation, no balance, no balance. That we are entering into a time in which automation is center stage, is taking control. Is. And that's the prime. And then we have technology. I must say, technology is really what defines the new paradigm. As mentioned, automation, in relationship to the assembly lines and things like that. So employers like the big three, just example, GM, Ford, Chrysler, whoever, don't need any as many physical workers anymore. There will be a decrease in jobs and layoffs and those kind of things. Automation is across the border. As far as movie theaters, there's no one that has to sit back there anymore and load the cameras up like they did back in the 1930s and 40s and 50s. No, it's automated, Then technology, doctors even, the surgeons, they have high-tech machines that help them do what they call it, invasive procedures, more focused procedures. They don't need maybe as many nurses assistants anymore. They don't need possibly a second surgeon to come in because they can handle it, invasively with that machine that is more precise, has more precision. So it is less bloody and things like that. So they might not even need as many people to clean janitorial. And so I'm talking about the new paradigm and how this social polarity this gap is, broadening. Broadening. I'm going to stop because I got to go back and talk about these people that try to attack me here on YouTube. And they just show me they have a lack of knowledge. They have a lack of awareness, lack of intellect. They do. And I bring that up because they tried to hurt my feelings. They don't know me. Can I be hurt? Of course, I'm human. But in my life, my mom, life, and divinity has made sure that I had a tough skin. And so my concern is more for them. I got to go here, y'all. I got to go here. It's just like Jesus on the cross. And he told his father, hey, forgive them because they don't know what they do. So same thing. So it bothers me that people can be so critical and so cruel to another, not knowing the details of a person's story. But everything that will come out of their mouth is really a projection, how they say, of who they are, or their beliefs or their philosophies, whether those beliefs or philosophies are racist or just hostile in some way for whatever reason. How can a person be so cruel? Remember that I'm talking about moving into a new paradigm. And this new paradigm being mainly governed by technology. The increase in technological advancements is changing the whole face of employment, period, across the border. I don't think it's not one, probably, Yoni, it's not one area of work, not a fast food restaurant, not a newspaper, not a print, not a doctor's office, not a clinic, not a nothing that won't be affected by us using technology to move humanity forward. It's going to make a change. And that those technological changes that are occurring in all the fields that exist here, all the constructs that exist here, are going to shrink. It's going to shrink the job pool. The job pool. We already seeing this. Malls are closed, hospitals are closed, movie theaters, you name it. In every food restaurants, it's not anything. Major corporations, automobile industries are combining forces. These kind of things are consolidating. Other people are downsizing. Others are shutting down. What am I bringing that up for? Because the person that made the comment today talks about how a person must be employed. I believe in employment. That's not an issue. But there's a class called the working poor class. It's a class called the working poor homeless class. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about people that are not looking at all of the facts that exist and that are surrounding the state of humanity as is now, as well as in the near future, and how this person was so critical, but didn't take in consideration why, I guess I would say, why people were on food stamps. In the video, I believe that I stated that, yeah, there are some people that play the system, but then there are other people that may not have the intellectual capacity one way or another, or for whatever reason, in order to stay gainfully employed. And then we're not really here, catch this y'all, come on here. We're not really here to work for a man. We are here to address some spiritual issues. So imagine a person that has an issue with anger. I mean, excessive anger. And they have reincarnated into this realm to deal with that issue of anger. But yet, man want them to work with the public. You know, those two things contradict each other. And, thank you very much. I'm more thirsty than anything.
I'm not coming back up.
Oh, please, love
I made
me.
you coffee.
Oh, I'm not even done. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you. Yep, take your dog. So, here I go. So I was talking about the new paradigm and how the middle class is shrinking and the poor get poorer and the rich get richer. Unless we understand why this is taking place and acknowledge that it is taking place, it will continue to lead to a social divide or polarity. And as long as there's a social divide or polarity that exists, bought on by the rules of man and not the rules of God, then we can anticipate, we can foresee that there will be increased clashes and conflict and duels and hostility and wars and civil disobedience that will continue to arise and grow. Still talking about the danger of social polarity. Poverty versus wealth. This is another area that I don't think people think of. I've talked about it here on this channel. Poverty versus wealth. Where did poverty come from? If divine, our creator, created a self-contained ecosystem that provides everything that a human needs to sustain themselves in this world during their appointed time, where does poverty come from? On the other hand, still talking about polarity, they cause problems. Where does wealth come from? What is wealth? Many people don't understand the difference between poverty and wealth. I want to talk about wealth. I ain't talking about being rich. I'm not talking about owning a franchise and getting that residual income in or having some stocks and bonds. I'm talking about some real life wealth. Where does wealth come from? We done talked about it before. Wealth is directly related to hoarding or having access to any of the natural resources that exist here in this plane, on this plane, that do what? Sustain our physical existence in this plane. Every single medicine is made from some natural resource here on this earth. Anything that is considered valuable is something that either can heal you, sustain you, help you, build you up in some way. And those things are what create wealth. Those people that have super wealth is because they have hoarded all the natural resources, whether it's water, whether it's the fish in the ocean, whether it's seeds, whether it's any was it all the elements on the table, platinum, gold, trillium, cadmium. I'm just naming some of the things I can think of. Anything that they can harvest and have. That's another thing that I talked about. I created a video a few years back, and it's called Your Ass is Grass due to the world's greatest pyramid scheme. And in that video, I talked about how all the little mediocre jobs that exist come from those that have, how can I say it? I don't want to go, that would be going deep. You can always locate and watch that video. Again, it's called Your Ass is Grass due to the world's greatest pyramid scheme. And I did it about 2-3 years ago. And you won't see, I got like a burgundy shirt on and hair full of beautiful weave. Burgundy shirt. If you see a burgundy shirt, that's probably the video. And so what I was revealing in a part of what I was revealing in that video was talking about how those that are, we can say, super wealthy get their super wealth because they hire a crew, a massive crew to drill and dig up oil, or they, what else is it? They dig up the ore and various, again, natural resources, elements, those kind of things. And they hoard it and they exchange it with other nations. And that's what all the war and stuff be about, And so I talk about that and how that's why they have so much wealth. That's what the wealth is. Where poverty exists because we don't have the natural resources. We barely have seeds in our mundane lives. Yes, you can go to the store, you can go to Michael's, or you can go to, what's the other one? Home Depot, and go into little areas and get some seeds. But that's in comparison. See, we don't have the point of reference back to when this ram was supposed to be a garden. This cube you see before you, we're in it on a dot, that pearl we call Earth was supposed to be a garden. I can see it being a garden. I can see it being a paradise, rather. I can see that. It's a potential. So we don't know that. We don't know that. And we're born in to the time period in which we're born, and that's all we know. But the truth, remember, there's a truth versus there's a lie and an illusion. The truth is this realm, this earth, has the potential to be a paradise. And right now it's not, because there's an imbalance. Poverty exists because there's not, and super wealth exists because there's not an even distribution of natural resources to all that exists on this earth, on this planet at any given time. There are those that are paying fake money or what they call fiat notes, or diluted natural resources such as medicine, diluted to the majority of humanity to go out and do what? Dig up all the natural resources and put it in a barrel and give it to them. That's another social polarity that exists that people are not aware of, or they are not acknowledging, or they're not taking into consideration before they make some decisions or make a statement, or I just say open their mouth. Think about it. If we don't come to understand these realities that exist, we are in danger. Humanity is in danger of descending. Okay, let's go on. I only got a few more. I just came on here to rant because it was just unbelievable to me how ignorant and stupid people can be. And I'm going to try to take that back a little bit. I don't want to be as hard because I understand this realm that because man has hijacked God's realm, has manipulated the laws, distorted them, and given them to humanity, that many people have not had the time nor the opportunity to think on these things or to research these things or to even interpret what they personally experienced to come to understand what the hell they really dealing with. So I digress, and I'm going to just teach. I'm going to just share. Y'all let me know what y'all know. Oh, and I wanted to say one more thing about the poverty versus the wealth, and I'm sure I ain't do it all. And understand that wealth is always handed down. It's a lineage, and it's always handed down as a legacy, as is poverty is handed down as a legacy. So when people want to argue about people not wanting to work or people being educated, you got to remember all this stuff comes from the top. And who are the top? I'm talking about the elitists, the people that hijack this realm. These are truth and facts. It's just about how much time and energy you have to invest into researching. It's just about how truthful you can be with yourself based on your experiences. Because the one thing I know from my personal experiences is that a person, based on what I see, can look at their own lives and discern some truths about this realm. It's just, are you strong enough to do it? And will you take the time to do it? You say, I learned so much. Thank you. You're welcome. And Yoni says, easily I can see to earth being the Garden of Eden. Yeah. Maybe that's what the Bible meant. Yeah. When it said they didn't know they were naked, naked meaning pure, in a pure state. They didn't know nothing different. You know what I'm saying? And see, we're in this time period. We all know that we're in this time period of awakening. Why are so many people afraid to wake up? I guess afraid because see, we all, excuse my language, excuse my French, por favor. Yeah, this motherfucker, we fucked up. We got a long way to come back from. But I'd rather know that I messed up and start making my comeback than to just sit and descend down into a state of hell, knowing that it is possible that there is going to be another generation that incarnates in here into this space when this is full-fledged hell. And when they say we fell from grace, we fell from the garden, and we are descending down into a hell-like state. That's crazy. And when I say that we can easily look into our own lives for answers, we can even see that being in the garden and the fall into a hell-like state. Think about it. You had moments, at least a moment in your life that you were happy, that it felt like you had everything you need. You weren't threatened. You could think. You could breathe. You could learn. You were free. If it didn't happen nothing but for a second. And then all of a sudden, stuff hit the fan. And the next thing you know, you in hell. The lights getting cut off. The rent can't be paid. Your loved one left you. All those kind of things. So what am I saying? We each have experienced heaven and hell here on this earth on a very micro level. So why can it exist on a macro? But I'm moving forward. Still want to talk about the poverty part. I talked about how the poverty and the wealth can be generational, especially the wealth. It's generational, it's hand down, it's a legacy. And they will defend it with their lives. That's why they create militaries and things like that. That's part of it. The next thing, I'm talking about poverty. And I'm talking about more of, poverty. Taxation without representation. Y'all know that was one of the arguments the early colonists had here in the United States when they was going up against Britain, that they did not have representation in Parliament, but yet were being taxed. Well, it still exists now. Taxation without representation. Talking about the poor, the struggling. Remember, the middle class is diminishing and the poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer. So now we have people. We talked about this recently relative to the astrological energies that people at this point in time in the history of humanity do not feel secure. They feel very vulnerable in relationship to their sense of security and stability in this physical world, period. Point blank. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know if you're going to have a job tomorrow. You don't know if you're going to lose it. You don't know if your health going to hold out. You don't know nothing. And we feel vulnerable. We are horrified. We don't know if our love is going to stay, if our family is going to be intact, if somebody's going to die. We feel threatened. We feel vulnerable. So here, at this point in time in history of humanity, putting all of that under the category of poverty, hardship, difficulty, that Five of Pentacles card that I put up here for this live stream. We are being taxed. When I say tax, I'm using that term to relate to we are being told what to do. We have to work so many hours. We have to earn whatever we can earn based on the job that we have. We have to do this. We have to do that. This is what I'm saying. I'm paralleling the word taxation to you have to do this, and that. But you have no representation in the state or whoever has hijacked the rules to this plane. You don't have nobody to speak up for you. Why? Because there is this divide that exists. And the divide is the social polarity that I'm talking about. And because you don't have anybody to speak for you, it's a clue. It's a clue that social divide, the majority of the people are being governed by the laws of man, but not by the laws of the Creator or of God. So you don't have anybody to speak for you. You are being taxated without any representation. You will know when the playing field has leveled or the social polarity is, I will say, balanced or equal. And then we have to kind of play tug of war for what side will win. When you have somebody that is a representation for you in this physical realm, somebody with some power, somebody that can go to them elites. I don't care whether it's a Palladian. I don't know nothing about aliens, just throwing it out here. Whether it's a Palladian, what is a reptilian or whoever, or a human, a president, whoever, or plain Jane or Joe like myself, or a group, a cult goes up against those people with power and say, you must let the people know the rules of this realm, who wrote them, who put them in motion, and what they have to do. Not until somebody walks up and confronts those people in power and say, hey, you got to undistort, how you undistort, straighten out those laws that you distorted and present it to man so that they can use them effectively. Because what you've been doing is you've been tweaking things in your favor. They've been being the magician in a tarot card. They have been manipulating circumstances and situations in their favor, those elitists, against the rest of humanity. But humanity doesn't know that they're under these lies or these illusions. They don't know that they are outside of our Creator's rules and regulations. They don't know they're using a distorted blueprint of the laws. They don't know. Another thing that I didn't write on my paper, I'm almost done, y'all. Another thing I didn't write on my paper is that the social polarity exists. I did talk about religion. No, I talked about religion. It's the religion and how religion governs or the group of people that are under that doctrine. And I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot what I was about to say, so I'm going to let that go. Read the live chat. Read the chat, and then go back here and finish my notes. Now, all that talking I did for an hour and 34 minutes wasn't nothing but 2 pages, but I had to rant. And so it says the verse in the Bible, rendered to Caesar salads. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's. Give Caesar, give these elitists their rules back. You know? Yeah, and I guess I was going to say that religion itself has not been good for humanity because it hasn't let the populace, the congregations know that man has hijacked this realm. Religion itself didn't even tell the truth. It doesn't tell the truth. It has its own agenda. Its own agenda. And because it has its own agenda, that suggests that it's man-made and that it has its own interests at heart. And not even the religious leaders or the religious sector will be that entity that stands up to their leaders. The religious sectors won't be what contributes to humanity waking up because they will be found faulty and lacking in integrity, as I was suggested that I was by some people that were commenting buttholes. Really messed people up. Yeah, it really messed people up. That are all about submission. Right, all about submission. And there's only, I'll say one thing that we should be submissive to. And what we should be submissive to are the laws of our divine creator, whoever that is. And whatever those laws are, but first we have to know those laws. And the truth of the matter is we know a lot about this cube you're looking at. We know a lot about this planet that we're on. We know a lot about our physical bodies. We know a lot about everything that is directly related to us. However, we've been manipulated into having to work 40, 50, 60 hours. We have been manipulated into being sick or to having to care for sick people or having a lot of children and caring for them or whatever else we've been manipulated into doing. We've been bamboozled. We have. And so we didn't have the time to learn these things. I brought up in one of the live streams that I did, but there are sectors that have learned these things and they have logged these things and they safeguard them with their lives. And you see representation of such sects or cults, like in a movie, the Da Vinci Code and what else? It'd be like the Da Vinci Code. Now, don't get me wrong when I talk about these movies. I just want you to have an image in your head to see. But these are things that we can discern just from our own personal, intimate lives. See, the Da Vinci Code shows these kind of things. When you hear of the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, I'm going to write down a list of these various secret societies one day. And about the 33rd degree of mastery, proficiency. We talked about becoming a genius, becoming proficient in the area. What are they talking about? They're talking about all these things we learned, all these natural laws that were put in place. They learned them and they lived by them. But the general populace, humanity, is not living by them. Why? Because they don't know it. Why? Because they was too busy living to fulfill the demands of man and not those of God. When I talk, y'all, I try to use the same terminology. I always try to tell y'all I'm trying to build a language or a vocabulary so when we speak, we know exactly what we're talking about. Oh, so what they say. So the people think they are following God by paying Caesar. Yes, as the Bible instructs. Yes, they do. But they've been bamboozled and can't see it. And that's what I'm saying about the people that make some of the craziest comments they make on some of my videos. They're usually alternate videos, not the tarot. It has something to do, like I made the one a couple of years ago about can you sell your soul to the devil? And I got people wanting to cuss me out, tell me you can't sell your soul to the devil. Maybe you can't, or you don't know that you can, or that you're being offered. But how can they undermine what I've experienced? How dare they? And tell me what I've experienced. Wide eyes wide shut. Didn't they have a movie like titled that or something like that? You know what I'm saying? It's in our face. It goes to show that a lot of these things we know, but I guess we feel like we really can't do anything about it. And so that's one of the things that I'm exploring personally. How do we unify in order to rectify these issues? How? If we really are in jeopardy of descending down into a hell-like state, but are being offered the opportunity to make some adjustments or to offset it, how do we do it? Well, kitty, 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 get down off my table. I'm going to whoop you. Here's my cup. Is you going to come into the camera or are you just going to get down? I don't know what you're looking for. Okay. How do we, when we have these elitists, that have, again, been the magician, magic has been performed on us. We don't acknowledge that. We've talked about it here on this channel. I've tried to describe some of the magical spells and things that I know of, some that I've been up under and I've come up from under. And that's one thing I've never talked about is how you can be up under some of these spells or this voodoo that are put on humanity in order to dumb us down, make us sheeple, make us not be able to see, calcify our pineal gland, however you like to define it or describe it, that you can't come out from up under it. I've been under it and I came from up under it and I experienced that. You know how you be literally sleep and you wake up in the morning, it's this passage or it's this stepping over the threshold from sleep to awake, and you can sometimes feel it. You can feel it. It wakes you up. It jerks you up like you dead, and it jerks you up. Well, that the magic, the allurement, the enchantment that has been put on me that I share with humanity, portions of humanity, I have waken up from that trance or illusion, and I felt the jerk. I saw the awakening. I saw the transition from gray and white into color, the grayscale back into color. I felt it. And so that's what I say. I'm arrogant in that way. Can't nobody tell me nothing. I'm an Aquarius now, y'all. Y'all know I'm fixed. But can't nobody tell me what I've experienced. I was granted this physical vessel. I don't give a fuck how fat it is or ugly it may be to another. I don't give a damn. But I know this, it works. And I have 5 senses and they are keen. And I have common sense. I have some book knowledge and I don't doubt what I experience. I have heard, I have seen, and I understand many, many things. And I'm just one person. So I give to you what has been granted to me. I share. And I would say that it is foolish to try to, and I'm not talking to none of y'all, but I'm talking about the people that do. It is foolish to try to diminish or, what's the word? I've used it already. Diminish one's testimony when they share. Now, you ain't got to believe it, but you should listen because the day may come that you may have that same experience and you might think you're crazy. But if you say, wow, dang, I heard that. Like an angels fly tarot. Nancy said that. And that's what it is. And you go into your research and be like, that's what it is. Now, I've learned many things that way through others as well. Let me stop rambling. I only got like 2 more things I want to talk about, but I want to see what y'all got to say. In our face, like the making of Michelle Obama, I'll be hated now with you. No, you have your right to your own personal viewpoints. I don't have a problem with that. What do they mean to make? I'm not quite sure. No limits. If you can go to hell, aren't you basically not saving your soul? If you can go to hell, aren't you basically not saving your soul? Kind of like selling it. Well, no limits. I'm not quite clear. That's the limitations or weakness of chat, understanding what you're saying. You say if you can go to hell, aren't you basically not saving your soul? Yes. Hell, the way based on what I understand through my life experience and what I've learned, is hell is a reflection of your soul. Hell manifest on this earth is a manifestation of the state of the collective soul, humanity's soul. If what I'm saying, if one day, 50 years from now, one exists here on this earth, and it's a hell-like state, like the Thunderdome, where we didn't drop the bomb and there ain't barely no vegetation, the water all contaminated, people hungry, ain't got no place to stay, ain't nothing like we do now, because we get beautiful, we turn up, we do our hair, we bump curlers, we get shaved up clean, put our stilettos on, our gaiters on, and pop our collars and do those damn thug fizzle things, right? Beautiful, beautiful. Very shallow, but we do it. Could be happening for some. But in that time period, 50 years from now, we can't do that because ain't none of that being produced, or no problem, no limits. There ain't none of that stuff being produced. Hell, there ain't even no vegetation to eat from, and there ain't no animals to make no fur from. Okay, if you don't repent, we can talk about repent. I got a video on that too, and that will be a hell state, is what I'm saying. That will be a hell state. You're still existing here, or you've been born here, reincarnated here during that period. That would be hell. Be hell. Again, it depends if you're born into that environment. That would be all you know. But if you was here 50 years prior and you saw us popping our collars, then that is potential. It was potential on this earth to have a heaven-like state. But if we got to that point where 50 years from now, there is a limited amount of vegetation, the water's contaminated, ain't no animals to make fur, we like in a hell-like state. Why would that be? It's because we manifested a state of our souls, collective humanity. We decided to fight and to have discord and have war, and we dropped bombs and we killed each other. And we had these civil issues and things that we couldn't resolve. And so we manifested hell here on earth. And you say, if you don't repent, what does it mean to repent? I talked about this before in a previous video. To me, what does it mean to repent? I'm going to talk about selling your soul to the devil. I personally believe that you can sell your soul to the devil. And when I talk about the soul, I'm not talking about the soul that the Creator made. I'm not talking about that soul. I did a video on that. I'm talking about the soul, S-O-L-E, this individual avatar. You can give it over to this physical world. And with this physical body, you can cut somebody, you can hurt somebody, you can talk about somebody, you can dog them, you can push them in their grave, you can do all that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? You do that. So that's selling your soul to the devil. Because when you do those things, it has a residual effect on your life as well as whomever you offend or hurt or damage or kill. People leave kids behind, all kind of things. The kids can go into psychological issues, you know what I'm saying? Later on, that child can have a child because that child parent was killed and they eventually became abusive, and a child that they have 30 years later be an alcoholic. It's that line of events that's connected that you don't know it's connected. And so that's what I'm saying. You sell your soul to the devil. People don't understand that you don't have to be a rock star to sell your soul to the devil. Only thing you got to do is do something that is against the laws of this matrix, this box, this cube that you look at, or you just steal, kill, and destroy. You help, not you, but a person like that helps to descend this this planet down into a state of hell, and how that is perpetuated from person to person and generation to generation. That is selling your soul to the devil or to the dark. You are giving it life. You can repent. What does it mean to repent? Repent means stop doing it. Don't do it. Pull back. Don't cuss. Don't argue. Don't fight. Don't kill. Don't steal. Don't destroy. Don't intentionally go out to break the laws associated with this realm. I ain't talking about the laws of man, but I'm talking about the laws of God. Do your best you can do. Love thy neighbor, just like in the Bible. Ooh, Christianity. can't let it go. Those kind of things. So that's my perspective. But who am I? Repent to whom? Tune yourself to you repent to yourself. You repent to this life. You repent to your neighbor, to the rest of humanity. Because with that butterfly effect, remember that movie? I ain't see it, but I remember it was a movie called Butterfly Effect. And so when you do one thing, it affects and butterflies or ripples through the rest of humanity. Now, a lot of times we can't see how those things link up. In the course of my life, I've seen the linkage. I can't see the linkage as far as someone's actions go all over the earth and all through the population. But I have seen it jump and the effects of it touching a dozen people. I've seen it. And it could be in years span. Like I said, the way this realm seems to be set up based on my experiences is that we all experience the experiences necessary for us to understand how things work on the micro level, but we experience them on our intimate level, on the micro level, on our own personal level. It's about just having the ability to have vision. That's why it's important for us to be able to learn how to execute the other elements, earth, your earth, air, water, and fire. Like me, I'm already an air sign. And so I'm that visionary. I can see past certain boundaries that a earth sign might not be able to see in. But then I might not be able to do the earth thing as masterfully as an earth sign, like, manifest in this physical world with ease. And that's something that I have to learn, I have to grow into, those kind of things. And so I'm going to, what are y'all talking about? What do they mean? Okay, where was I at? Only competition should be by cities. What city can end their homeless, etc., solve problems, Olympics. Right, that makes sense to me. And that's what I've been figuring out. How can I share that message, Oni? It's about resolving our issues. On a micro level, talking about this whole world, it's hard to resolve issues. But if you shrink it down to communities, see, back in the day, when I was growing up, there were community, what do you call them? Community, what they call, we got one, and I'm a part of it, but it's called community centers, not community, community groups or neighborhoods, communities coming together, and you put your issues on the table in the community, and you figure out some resolutions, and then you reach out further and further and further and further. And your leadership, another thing that we allow to be taken away from us and not being able to respect, is leadership, because in each one of those communities, as you said, by city, we have to be able to trust our officials, whether it's in our neighborhoods or in our cities or in our states, because it is those representatives that will link us to the rest of the world or the countries or the states. And it starts when they say the old statement, it starts at home. It does. Number one, we know that the family institution has been broke down. And so now we're going down deep into some things. The family institution is broke down, is more intense or in depth for some cultures. Others, they have been able to manage to sustain somewhat of a structure, and they seem to be more successful socially. These are the kind of things that people don't want to look at. My people, whose people? Whoever created this realm. People will die for a lack of knowledge or awareness or lack of acknowledgement. And so I'm gonna finish this off. I ain't gonna talk about that. Oh, This is the last social polarity I want to speak of. I done kept y'all. Thank y'all for hanging with me for almost 2 hours. I really appreciate you. I like to share. I like to vent. I like to rant in order to clear my mind, to help organize and to share, to make sure we're on the same page. So I just want to let y'all know I really love and appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for allowing me to have this platform and having the opportunity to talk to you, speak with you, share with you. Because other than that, I'll be sitting here talking to myself. Y'all know I'm an old crazy, nutty professor kind of Aquarius. And so I thank y'all. So in closing, I just wanted to talk about one more polarity, social polarity that is dangerous. And it's kind of summing up what I've talked about over the last 2 hours. And it is short range perspective. I'll repeat that. Short range perspective, planning, or vision. The sheeples usually have that going on. Versus long-term agendas. And who usually has that going on? The elitist. And it is a part of their legacy, and it's a part of their lineage that they hand down from generation to generation. So I'm saying start it without representation. We don't know these people. That's the problem. See, the integrity of people are questionable now. That's another thing that we're dealing with. Oh, I didn't talk about the dope fiend, did I? I ain't talk about the dope fiend. So I want to talk about the dope fiend first. And since you brought that up, y'all, I know you're like, what the dope fiend got to do with it? I'm bringing up the dope fiend because integrity, people's integrity are questionable now. Who can we trust? You know, there's so much information out here. What's real? What is the foundation? See, we need to get simple. What is the basic foundations? What are the basic rules to this realm? And what can sustain us so we can figure this out? And how can we get back there? And are we willing to? Because many of us have very large egos. We have many desires and urges, and we have greed or lust, those kind of things. And so that's where the spiritual part really comes in relationship to our evolution or our ascension process. We have to realize that those are things that we must control, that we must gain mastery over. Got a video that talk about it called The Spirits Within. Occasionally I talk about them spirits within. Mm-hmm. So, the dope fiend. Why do I want to bring up the dope fiend? I also want to share this little tale because it shows this polarity, another social polarity that exists that people don't acknowledge, and it's very dangerous. We know now that we are living in a time period where there's what they call it, an opioid. What's it called? Say it, Nancy. Opioid. Opium crisis. Prescription drugs, street drugs, people just get high for different reasons, to escape reality, get high because you made a bad decision. Because we just get high, different things. Somebody came on here talking about some crack, we get high. Marijuana, romanticized, glamorized, we get high. Popping pills, whether it's oxycodone or snorting some cane, heroin, we get high. Many of us do. I got a video about that, and it's called Dope Drugs. And it talks about how we override the safety mechanisms in place to make sure that we don't cross certain spiritual boundaries. But we are lascivious in this realm at this point in time, and it's intentional. And many of us, what we do, we get high, and we barge right on into those realms, and then we have to deal with some other stuff. But I'm bringing up the dope fiend because when I was younger, I was at the airport one day, and this when I got this realization. As I always share with y'all, I live in Detroit, the D. This is one of the cities that was they call it infused with drugs, especially during the crack era and things like that. And so I know a lot of people's lives and their stories and all that kind of thing. And I've seen great people, especially black men, fall due to partaking, overindulging, out of control. Whole nother video. But when I was at the airport, I guess this had to be about 20, I want to say 20 years ago. I don't know. No. Yeah. Nope. Close to it. About 15 years ago. I'm at the airport and I'm standing in line to, claim the ticket and put the luggage in the thing. This is a long line. Anyway, it was this couple in front of me. It was a Caucasian couple. And it was this guy, his wife, and his son. And I'm looking at them. I was like, wow, I wish I could travel like that. Because whatever they were talking about, I could tell that they travel. I was like, damn, I wish I could travel like that. And then I caught, me and his wife, eyes caught, and me and his son's eyes caught. Now, I'm going to say she might have been in her late 30s, early 40s at the time. The son might have been about 10. But when I crossed their eyes, we crossed eyes and locked eyes, they were so sad. That wife, I could tell she was abused. She was sad. It was like tears on the rim of her eyes. And the little boy, he was just like, you could tell he was traumatized. And so I'm like, why are these people hurting like this? And they had their fake facade on. They had it on now. So you really had to look. See, I caught their eyes and we locked eyes and they were sad. They were hurt. And so, of course, I look at the last family member, which is the father standing there, towering over him, big guy. And summertime, he had his shorts on and stuff. And he turned around, that man looked evil and mean. And I could tell that in some way he had been abusing them. And so I'm scanning this man and I get down to his hands. Now, y'all, it could have been anything. But Holy Spirit, I always tell you, talk to me. This man's hands was blew up, dope fiend hands. Dope fiend. I saw this motherfucker shooting. I got it. I was like, wow. I can just imagine what they're going through. And I always tell y'all, I hear the voices speaking, the angels speak to me, demons speak, all kind of stuff, entities speak. And, so I'm like, dang, they going through something, but you think, this is what the Spirit is saying to me. You would think that because of their economic, status, that they would be happy, but they're not. They are miserable. They are living in their own perpetual state of hell due to his drug usage. And, so I'm looking, this man got these dope fiend heroin type hands, whatever, they shoot up. And it was interesting because I got this message in different intervals in my life. And so as I shared, I lived in Detroit. I've seen a lot of things. And then it was that experience. But what I'm trying to share relative to this live stream, the dangers of social polarity, is how we perceive things as people. And I've had people comment on my videos that, it's as if only poor people or black people are drug addicts or dope fiends or living in poverty due to their bad habits. But the truth of the matter is, that's not the case. It's not the case. How can I say this? When it comes to a dope fiend, money is the determining factor to if you see the effects of their drug addiction. When it comes to a dope fiend, money is the determining factor to if you see the effects of their drug addiction. And I say that because many people in an urban area have a ceiling, a cap, or what do you call it, income cap. So we're going to say somebody that has a reasonable job in the urban area, makes $28,000 a year, $32,000 a year, but they're a dope fiend. They shoot heroin. Well, a lot of their money is going to sustain their addiction. Many of us know that like heroin is something that if they don't get it, they feel like they're going to die. So they're going to put their money for it. Where a man equivalent, our example, African inner city, I'll say, or African American male, we'll say about 40, white counterpart, same age, 40, same build, make everything. However, due to a lot of various social imbalances, the Caucasian person may make $80,000 or $100,000 a year. They take the same dope, but there's only so much dope a person can take before they OD and die. Now, that amount of dope that can be taken by a person is within the financial range of the minorities' earnings. What I'm saying, the amount of money they make, they gonna out of 32,000, they gonna spend $15,000 a year on sustaining their addiction, and so they only got another 17 to live on. So they may fall into poverty, have some hardships or issues they can't deal with because they have the drug addiction, and so it changes or morphs their reality or their lifestyle. Whereas their counterpart, the Caucasian counterpart that's making damn near $100,000 or $100,000, they too gonna satisfy their addiction. And remember, the maximum they can take is $15,000 worth of drugs, you'll say, a year. So their white counterpart is going to take $15,000 worth of drugs a year too, because that's how much they can take in a year or whatever, without ODing. That's the cap. But that person right there still has $85,000 to live on, to sustain themselves and to create the reality that they want to live. And people don't look at that. They don't look at this social polarity that exists. These are two people working hard for the money, both have drug addictions, but one person is demonized while another is not. These are things that we need to really look at. That Caucasian person is not better, or that higher earner is not better than the person that earns less money. Both people are equally hardworking and dedicated to work as much as possible while having an addiction. But there are people in our society that will demonize the lower earning person because they're not able to sustain their reality. They're not able to sustain the facade that says life is good, where the other person has the capability of doing so because they earn just that much more. And I bring that up because people make their decisions about how they're going to deal with people based on things such as that. Rather than looking at the truths or potential realities that exist, they look at and make the determinations based on the illusion. These kind of things are very, very dangerous. I want to say this, and this is not to have to do with all drug addicts or dope fiends, or in my example, heroin addicts, but there are certain dispositions that a person with an addiction carry. It doesn't matter if they're the top earner or the bottom earner. Their one goal is to satisfy that urge, because that urge will make them feel like they want to die. So it is possible that they are willing to do just about anything at all. What am I saying? Is that there is a character or a spirit that they share. And that spirit say, I'll do whatever it takes in order to satisfy this urge because it make me want to die. So their, what is the word I'm thinking of? Their tendencies, their emotional responses to circumstances and situations are equally or can be equally detrimental to major issues or concerns that we are confronted with dealing with in this life, especially at this point in time in the history of humanity. I don't know if I made that make sense, but I'll ask y'all to just think over that. Okay, I'm saying started with our representation. We don't know these people. Okay, exactly, right. And so that again, those are two social polarities, looking at people based on race and culture, but not really getting down to the nitty gritty, I can say. And so I was going to talk about, finally, now, it's talking about short range perspective or planning or vision. That is usually an attribute of the sheeple or the common people versus the long term agendas. And the long term agendas usually are executed by the elitists as part of their lineage. It is handed down. Now, when we talk about the short term perspective of the sheeple, of the general populace, all we think about is tomorrow, next week. We're going to have something to eat, some clothes to put on. We'll be able to buy Christmas gifts, birthday gifts. We'll be able to pay the bills. Short range perspective. And why am I talking about this? Remember, I've had people come on my channel and say some of the most craziest, uneducated, unaware statements I've ever heard in my entire life. And that's scary to me because it shows where we are as people in humanity. And we must come to see these social polarities because they could be detrimental to our ability to sin. It may force us to have to descend and eventually do what? Bring that hell state into existence in this physical plane, not knowing if we're going to reincarnate back in here or not. So the common people, some still sheeple, have these very short range perspectives. And as a part of those short range perspectives, and plannings and visions, just about how to get through the day or the week or to deal with whatever issue or circumstances is right before your toes, your nose. They don't have this concept of a broader vision of what do you call it? Abstract thought. No abstract thought. Lacking abstract thought. When I say not having the ability to have abstract thought or broader vision or perspective or being able to see probabilities, it keeps the sheeple or the common populace from being able to see these long-term agendas that the elitists execute. We're thinking today, while the elitists are working by generations and centuries, yes, even 100 years. Remember, everything that the elitists acquire, they protect and they hand down. It is a part of their lineage. It is a part of their wealth, the knowing about this realm, about this cube that you see before you, that represents an example of the realm in which we reside. So, what am I saying here? In order for us to awaken, we must be able to see that there are certain people here in this realm that don't work day to day. They don't work week to week. They don't even work year to year. They work by century. They work by decades in their plans. And that's why they have the upper hand on us. So a lot of the tricks or the magic or the things that we confront that we can't see, you got to understand these things were put in play long probably before you were even born. So it is important for you to be able to broaden your perspective, your horizon, to occupy the 12th house of Pisces, to see. And there's various ways to see it, but I'm not going into that in this live stream. The last thing, last but not least, is that short range perspective that we have. I just want to state that this short range perspective that we have is reinforced by the laws of man. They force us to worry. They force us to be fixated and contemplated on what's going on now, today, tomorrow, or next year. But we never have the time to, perceive or to see the vision or to view their projection of what is to be. We don't have time. Neither do we have the standing structures, social structures like family, like they have, to hand down the information from generation to generation. At some point in time, our families are broke, our communities are broke, et cetera, et cetera. How can I help you? What is that?
Kim cooked
What is that?
ribs.
That's what I thought. Put one right there.
Juju.
I'm live.
Yeah, I see.
I need a pop. Who buying one? Where is it at? Do I have any money? What's going on? I'm confused. I'll be off here in a minute. And so, I'm going to try to make a video, a live stream. And so I invite you. I don't know when I'm going to have it. I'm going to put it up here. You know, I'm going to make an announcement because I want to do a live stream. And I want us to work together to figure out how to begin to execute rectifying these in the middle challenges that we face as humans here on this earth. Yoni offered one thing, and that is to start by city. That's a great idea, I do believe. But I think we need to start even a little smaller. We need to start at home. And this is why when I give interpretations with the tarot cards, for some it goes and talks about moving forth in integrity. You need to be able to depend on me. What I say, you should be able to go back and check over and over again and find no fault in it. Because in reality, we don't have time to keep going back checking on each other. And that go back into selling your soul to the devil. You can mislead the people. You can present something to them that is misleading. And of course, they ain't got time to keep going back and check. They need to be able to depend on what you're sharing with them to move them forward. And there are people that sell their soul to the devil and will make their presentation to others, and it will lead a group of people down a particular path, and eventually, at some point in time, they may hit a brick wall. It's like traveling through a labyrinth. And that's why it's so important for us to learn how to, again, learn the rules to this cube that you see before you, which is a representation of the realm we live in. And being proficient in a particular area or arena, I know it's a challenge, but we're going to figure it out. And people being able to rely on you, your family, or your community, or your city, or your state, et cetera, et cetera. Because I do believe that that's the only way we have a chance to make a comeback. I thank you all for coming here to Can Angels Fly and allowing me to rant about the danger of social polarity. Until next time, y'all. Bye. If I can figure out how to get off here. I've been on here so long that I don't know if I know how to get off. That's interesting. Let's see.